Hello. I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about some of the common mistakes that people make when selling their business. Let me start by saying these are many. And we see it very, very often. And it's understandable because the people selling the businesses typically haven't done it before, or if they've done it before, perhaps they've only done it once or twice. And unfortunately, what we see, and even when we see this from people advising where they're lacking experience, is that they're following the same process as before. They do have experience of that process, but it's a bad process. And they repeat the same mistakes. And that's a real shame. Because we are great believers that the entrepreneurs that start, that nurture, grow and build businesses of value, they need to be rewarded because they stimulate the economy, they generate jobs and they create innovation which a number of the larger organisations can benefit from. Some of those smaller organisations will go on to be large corporate enterprises themselves, over 100 million. Typically that doesn't happen. The percentage that actually achieve that is very, very small indeed. In fact, the number of businesses that survive even 5 years is probably around 20 to 25%. When you're looking at 10 years, it's much, much smaller. There's a very high failure rate within the technology sector. However, the good news is that if you have survived, you are one of that smaller percentage, then there are great returns to be had if you have the right exit strategy in place. And I think what needs to happen is to make sure that you take that business to a level where you can continue to grow it. And sometimes we see those businesses that they are successful in growing, but then they hit that ceiling. And that could be due to a host of reasons. It could be that it may be a limitation of their geographic market. It may be a limitation of their own network. It may be the limitations of that management team, or it may be just a lack of resources. And that's when you need the larger organisation to come in and to take it to levels 2, 3 and 4 and beyond. And that can be great for both parties. Bringing the right organisations together, the right fit, where 1 and 1 equals 3 or 4. So you can create something of greater value. And that's what mergers and acquisitions is all about. Bringing organisations together so that they can create greater revenue, greater profitability, and by a significant multiple. So the first mistake that I would say for a lot of companies is taking that business and hanging on to that business too long, or what we call riding it up and over the top. Is that you'll see organisations that they make steady progress, and whilst the company is making progress, they are enthused, they're energised. At the time when things start to level off, then they start thinking about that exit and thinking that maybe now's the time to look for a buyer. What happens typically is that by the time they get that process in place, the business has gone up and over the top. It's either flatlined or even worse, it's starting to head down. And that can be due to a number of factors as well. Even the M&A process itself, if you're not careful, can be a distraction. And any distraction from your business, so you're not working as hard on your business, means that you'll have a downward trend with your business. And obviously, if you extrapolate that downward trend, that doesn't do great for the valuation of your business. So don't ride your business up and over the top. The other point, which is very closely related to this, is selling your business isn't a process that lasts just a few months. The transactional part of the M&A process does, but you need to be building your business for that sale, ideally from the first day that you open your doors. Build the business with the sale in mind. Build it to sell it. Build it with your objectives. We all know the values of having a clear goal, both in our personal and in our business life. Well, it's exactly the same with the business. Set a goal that all of your team understand. That you want to grow a business of this shape to this size. It doesn't mean that it's set in stone forever, but it does give you the direction. But when you also, the most important thing about that is when looking at the business in that way, you step back from the business and you can view it objectively. That in itself is very, very valuable, and you'll start to see that you'll build a business in a different way that quite often is a more valuable way and a more successful way going forward. One of the other aspects of a sale is clarity about communication. And again, we see lots and lots of businesses. We see documents, we see information memorandums about businesses, and we have lots of conversations with businesses that are wanting to sell. And we talk to the senior executives. And the key impression that we get, where there's a very, very common failure, is a lack of communication about who they are, what reason that they are in business for, and who they serve. Unfortunately, a lot of businesses, they try to create a solution for a particular target market. Hopefully it's very focused, but because they're so close to their business, their communication and how they communicate that becomes blurry. Sometimes it was never very clear in the first place. Sometimes it's a case of using lots of industry acronyms, or they lose focus on what they're really there to do. And remember, people don't buy your product for what it is. They buy the product for what it will do for them. They don't buy your product because they want to have some software. They have a problem or they have a goal that they want to achieve. Now, if you look at most websites and if you look consequently at the communication that we see put together by a lot of companies when they're looking to sell, the focus is all about the product. Great detail about it. That also comes when you've got a lot of technical people that have established a business. They tend to talk in very, very technical terms. But communication about who you are as a company, make sure you've got a company narrative, make sure that you've created some competitive space, make sure you've differentiated yourself, and make sure that that business is spoken about in terms of benefits to the client. How then we take that business forward when we're talking to buyers is because we know the market, we understand the businesses of the companies that we're approaching to acquire that business. We too will talk in business in terms of benefits that this business will bring the buyer, because we've done our homework, we understand the fit, and we can see the synergies. We won't be spending most of the time just talking about the features of that product or that service. Common pitfall number 4, I think, is just really not understanding the M&A process. When I speak to a lot of owners, I think that they believe that once you get a solid bid on the table, you're 80% of the way there. The reality is that even once you've agreed a deal, 50%, and this is an industry average, generally across a wide range of industries, but once you get to the stage of having a deal agreed, perhaps you've got a letter of intent in place, still 50% of those offers fail to complete, the assignments fail to complete, and the company is not bought. And that's after a lot of negotiation that's gone on before that, and that can be very, very frustrating. And of those 50% that do complete, you're probably talking about at least 50% of those, it's not really a successful deal. And that's a big topic in itself. But there's a lot of preparation that goes on before, and then you need to really understand the process of what happens after that and how intensive that needs to be, and you need to be prepared for it. Common pitfall number 5 is about what is likely to be the financial reward and also the deal structure that can be achieved from the sale of your business. And I think that this happens more, is probably one of the most common myths about selling your business, is people think in terms of the cash deal and then the earn out, and the fact that they need to be within that business for 1, 2, even 3 years. It seems to be almost a regimented template that has already been sold to a lot of business owners, and they believe that you have to keep to that. And let me tell you, that is not true. There are many, many different ways that you can get the equity from within your business. There are many different types of deals that can be done if you've got the experience and if you've got the knowledge and you know how to do it. So please don't believe many of the myths and misconceptions that are sold to you out there. Don't believe the myths about the multiples that you're likely to achieve. Please come and talk to some people who really do understand the software industry, and let's talk about the best way of doing it. Any questions? Anything you liked or didn't like, please get in contact. Be pleased to hear from you. Thank you very much.